Faced with economic limits under socialism, we seek solutions in capitalism and free markets. Faced with economic limits under capitalism, we seek solutions in socialism and governmental control. This is Session 5, Assumptions, in a course titled Economics of Fulfillment, and that is an aspect of a larger view, evolution of consciousness theory. In this session, we venture where nary an economist has dared to explore, outside the box of socialist capitalist thought. We delve into economics of fulfillment proper, our discourse to begin with the assumptions on which the economic philosophy of tomorrow is based. Contemporary economic doctrine is based on the assumptions of resource scarcity and unlimited human want. Our economics of fulfillment philosophy also rests on suppositions. They, however, are an outgrowth of the evolution of consciousness view of the universe. Specifically, we embrace the assumptions of intrinsic human worth, abundance, and creative expression. Every human being is a universe in and of itself. By virtue of our birth, by virtue of our place in creation, we each play a role in evolution. In the economy of tomorrow, no one can be left behind. No one is more worthy of a fulfilling life than anyone else. Every human being is vital to our future. No matter what economic system or systems we devise to function under the blanket of economics of fulfillment ideology, humanity cannot serve the economic system. The economic system must serve humanity. We must engineer our economic interaction with respect to humanity's continued advance and the universe's continued evolution. The universe cannot achieve its ultimate state of existence until humanity achieves its ultimate state of existence, and humanity cannot achieve its ultimate state of existence until every human being achieves his or her ultimate state of existence. In our economics of fulfillment philosophy, and in the systems of economic practice we devise for its implementation, we have no winners and losers. Life is not a struggle to survive. At the heart of any economic system is the creativity and inventiveness of the individual. We take as implicit the value of the human being. We take as fundamental the essential nature of freedom. We embrace without reservation the assumption of intrinsic human worth. The second assumption on which we base our economics of fulfillment philosophy is the notion of abundance. It is the supposition that the physical resources exist, or by our ingenuity can be made to exist, to whatever extent we may need to further the human endeavor on Earth. The assumption of abundance runs contrary to the assumption of resource scarcity, a notion ingrained in our minds to such an extent that we may take it to be a truth of nature. And at first glance, it is hard to argue with the idea. The Earth is only so big. Therefore, raw materials must be limited. There is only so much iron, nickel, copper, silicon, uranium, aluminum, and other minerals close enough to the Earth's surface for us to get our hands on. But when we look more deeply at the concept of scarcity, the idea of limited resources is not as self-evident as it may seem. By itself, a physical limit has no meaning. The notion of resource scarcity exists only with respect to our demand for those resources. If we assume raw materials are limited, we must also embrace the second part of our textbook definition of the fundamental assumptions on which socialism, capitalism, and scarcity-based economics are based. The notion that human material wants are unlimited, the given that the human need for material wealth is unbounded. Common sense, of course, tells us that this is not the case. To say that our material need is unlimited is to say that our motivation is no more than material. Love, peace of mind, the elation we feel after we break through to a new level of understanding, these and other needs have no bearing in the physical universe. If we cannot justify the notion of unlimited human wants, we cannot justify the notion of intrinsic resource scarcity. There are limits to raw materials on the planet, but these limits exceed humankind's potential for their use and, therefore, are not relevant. Take, for example, food. The human community faces a devastating problem with hunger. In many nations, waves of hunger ravish the population and create intense social and political conflict. Even wealthy nations, such as the United States, cannot assure their population of an adequate food supply. But hunger has nothing to do with a shortage of food or with limits to the potential of the Earth's biosphere to sustain human population and agricultural production. In today's economy, food is business. Production is not motivated by humanitarian need, but by profit. If it makes money to produce tomatoes in a tropical nation for export to Europe or the United States, companies buy up land and produce tomatoes. Under the rules of scarcity-based economics, it does not matter if enough land is left over for the local population to feed itself. Every year, we take thousands of acres of agricultural land out of production. Communities sprawl across the landscape, and we pave vast tracts of farmland. The economic value derived from the land on which a subdivision or a shopping mall are built, the value placed on it by the regulatory structure of socialism and the market forces of capitalism, is greater than the economic value derived from the land if it were used to grow food. We need homes. One can argue that we need shopping malls, but we also need to eat. Those who live in subdivisions and patronize shopping malls may have the money to buy food grown elsewhere, but not everyone is as high on the economic pecking order. Economic values may not reflect a commodity's true value. The shortages we face are not a result of natural limits. We have the knowledge to reshape our world in almost any way we imagine. Technology has rendered natural limits obsolete. The scarcity experienced by the early urban community was real. The scarcity we face is fabricated. Socialism and capitalism are relics of another age. They rest on the notion of scarcity and cannot function without it. When scarcity does not exist, they create it. Scarcity-based economics and the politics associated with scarcity-based economics and not resource availability produce scarcity. When we have a need for a good or service, and it is not affordable, when we have a need for a job or career, and it is not attainable, our economic system fails to align demand with the ability to produce, and is not working as it should. The consciousness that is the universe has never evolved, and could never evolve, to a state that precluded its continued advance. We do not live in a world of resource scarcity. We live in a world of material abundance. The final supposition on which we base our economic framework is an outgrowth of our first assumption, human worth, and of our knowledge that the creativity of the individual underlies all forms of economic activity. It is the concept of creative expression. As human beings, we are driven to grow and learn, to move forward, to evolve to states of greater autonomy and consciousness. For reasons grounded in the evolution of consciousness view, and in our understanding of humankind's place in the universe, we are compelled to try new avenues of thought and action. We are driven to reinvent ourselves and our world. Human creativity is intrinsic to our nature. Our desire to create is fundamental to our essence, central to what makes us human. Moreover, given our physical embodiment, the function of the creative process, and our existence in a physical universe, our desire to create must reveal itself in a tangible way. Consciousness in action manifests in time and space. Our dreams and desires must result in an external expression, in an economic activity. This expression will be as varied as the creativity that brought it into being. The building of a house is an expression of our creative drive. The nursing of a patient is an expression of our creative drive. The teaching of a child is an expression of our creative drive. Our economic expression is as diverse as we are unique, as varied as our values and dreams. As such, our economic expression is as abundant as the creative activity that brought it into being. We are as prolific as we are creative. The greater our creative activity, the greater its impact on our world. Our level of creative activity, in turn, shows a direct relationship to the freedom we provide for its action. Economic output is a function of human creativity, which is a function of the freedom and opportunity we experience as an individual and make available to those around us. When we have the freedom to fulfill our creative needs, we, as an unavoidable consequence, will fulfill our material needs. Our economics of fulfillment ideology is based on the assumption of economic expression. When we maximize our freedom to grow and learn, and to express our creative nature to the limits of who we are as human beings, we, by virtue of our nature as evolving entities in an evolving universe, will maximize our material well-being. Freedom equates to wealth. Human worth, abundance, and creative expression. Are these concepts reasonable? Do they ring true with respect to today's world? Can we envision a world where they would ring true? With our look at assumptions, we complete Session 5 in our course titled Economics of Fulfillment. We have the background to develop a model of economic activity derived from our suppositions, from our understanding of ourselves and our place in creation. Our course on the economics of tomorrow continues in Session 6, Model.